Thank you, Boston. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ron. Welcome to Pflugerville, Unity Pflugerville. And today we're talking about a very interesting progression, I guess, in my life that I'd like to share with you. I have been one of those, what I call metaphysical heads that's so busy. I've been to every workshop you can think of. I've done this, I've done that. And I found myself seeking. And in my article this week, which most of you got, I talked about that a seeker always has to seek, but never find. And it's one of the interesting things, and I kind of woke up on that in the last couple of weeks. We've been studying the Course of Love on Wednesdays. Class is growing, as a matter of fact. That's one reason we had to expand the living room at home, right? Because we had, what, 13 people?
Yeah. Without you.
Without me,
Yeah.
13 people last week. Well, maybe I should just not be there. But 2 weeks ago, a very interesting chapter we had, and it really kind of stopped me in my tracks, and I started thinking about it. And I had to take a look at where I've been, and where we are going. And the world today is in a turmoil. Anybody agree with that?
Amen.
Yes. It really is. And it's, no matter what, it's not working. Okay, and a lot of us in this group have been affirming and working and doing things for years, and we're still dealing with the same old stuff. Notice how I use the word stuff instead of another word. So the idea is there, how do we literally make changes that are real? How do we make changes that make a change? And how do we make changes that are on the spiritual level, not necessarily the physical level? And I've been looking at that. And in 1978, I go back to 1978, that's when I first heard a tape by Catherine Ponder in a car on the way to Mobile, Alabama, from Montgomery, Alabama. And I first heard the idea that I become what I think about. And my life is what I think, and my life becomes what I feel. And it was kind of like a breakthrough. And that started my search. And my search took place in books, all kinds of things. And yet, seeking. And the attitude becomes, after a while, if I can just find the right words, if I can just find the right work, if I can just find the right teacher, if I can just find the right religion, if I can just find this, I'll figure it out and I'll know how to do it. The key word there is figure it out. See, and here's what I realized, and here's what happened to me. I want to read this. And what I'm going to read is from day 32 in the Course of Love, in the dialogues. So that's what it's called. And in day 32, the first 2 paragraphs are very, very interesting. Number 1, the experience of the self is God. So the experience of the self that I have been looking for is God. Okay? Now, that to me is something that went, aha! Now, maybe not everybody gets it, but for me, it was a major idea that went click. Then next it says, it is not from God, it is not of God. I'm going to editorialize a little bit. It is not about God, it is not thinking God, it is not finding God, it is of God, it is God. Which means what? That the self I've been looking for is God already there within me and within you. And I stopped and thought about it, and I realized all the affirmations, all the books, all the workshops, everything I've done is working on manipulating the physical. Somehow I can change the physical into a better physical. Everybody there? Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to reach a spiritual level by manipulating the physical. It doesn't work. And that's why I've been such a seeker for years and years and years. Looking for the secret in the physical world, and forgetting that it's really not in the physical world, it's in the spiritual world. Now, the problem is I've been equating let's just say my awareness of God. In other words, we talk about God, yes, and we have all different kinds of names for God. So, talking about God means I know God, which I equate, or we equate to the spiritual level. But the truth is, God is beyond what my definition of the spiritual level is to another level. So that's why I'm incorporating the phrase metaspiritual. Because I got involved in this whole thing through metaphysical, which means literally beyond the physical, or there are energies beyond the physical. So my definition of spiritual is not adequate, so I got to go beyond the spiritual or meta-spiritual. So it's just an idea. It's an idea that's been working with me. What's interesting is that idea, I'm sharing celebration of a life this afternoon, and for some reason the last 2 days, this whole idea keeps coming in, keeps coming in, keeps coming in. We live in a physical world. We look around, we see each other, we experience each other. We experience heat, hot and cold, we experience light and dark, we experience personalities, we experience floors. Anybody notice that it's painted new in here?
Yes.
This whole room's painted.
Yes.
Okay? So the physical world impacts us, and we're part of the physical world. However, there are invisible energies everywhere. And those invisible energies are the energies that we're speaking about. So the question is, how do I access those invisible energies to make the changes that I'm really looking for, or to make life easier, or to help you become more effective as a human being? So again, I've been in this quandary for a week or two. And in getting ready for today and for this afternoon, I started looking at Jesus. If you really, really look at the work of Jesus, he says a lot of ideas, he uses a lot of metaphors, he uses a lot of parables, people are all familiar with the parables, and he makes one commandment. Okay, and he says, thou shalt love the Lord thy God as thyself, and the second is, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. That's it. And there's all this other stuff. I mean, people have changed this, they've interpreted this, they've done all kinds of things with these words.
Yes.
And yet, what did he really say? Everything was conversations, parables about the outcomes that are possible. It's like, I don't know why I'm going to my talk this afternoon, but in investigating the life that I'm going to be talking about, Jesus was asked, how do I know somebody that's in the spiritual path, or somebody that's really doing the work? And his answer quickly was, by their fruits you shall know them. And it goes in and talks about an apple tree, and I'm using my own metaphors, but an apple tree does not grow thorns. An apple tree grows apples, and the fruit of the apple tree is apples. And the fruit of a thorn bush is thorns. And it's only the individual plant has to establish its own fruit. So the way we can tell that somebody is in spirit, what kind of life do they lead? How do they presence themselves in the world? And if you really stop and think about it, this idea of energy, and if you took the example I usually use is either heat and cold, or light and not light. And everybody thinks that there's such a thing as an energy is cold and an energy is hot. There's not. There's only one energy called heat, and cold is absence of heat. Everybody there? Mm-hmm. And there's only one energy called light, and darkness is what? Absence of light. So what is love? Love is an energy of God. It is the invisible energy that we are aware of, that we have a choice to bring in. See, that's why we're here. The great mystery of life is, I'm born, I'm here for a few years, and then I leave. What is here? What I leave behind. The fruits that I have manifested in people around me. So how do I know somebody's living a spiritual life? What do they leave behind? Okay, so it's easy to turn around and look in the past and determine what have I left behind me. Now, sometimes I don't like that. And part of that is learning to forgive myself. So that's part of my journey now. But the question is, where am I going from here forward? And what am I deciding to bring in? Okay, and am I bringing in love? Or am I bringing in other than love? And it's my choice. And everybody in the world, all of 7 billion of us, are making that choice. So we live in 7 billion choices of how I'm bringing in spirit. So a life well lived is a life of love, joy, peace. Anybody ever been around people that you like to be around?
Yeah.
Okay, why? Because they are bringing, and they're deciding to bring in compassion, they're deciding to bring in love, they're deciding to bring in communication. I call it, you ready? Relationship. Now stop and think about this. Anybody agree that work is relationship?
Yeah.
Like a lot of you do different things. Okay? So your baker brings relationship into the world by baking things that make people taste good, feel good. And that's part of their joy in life. Somebody working for the water department, what are they doing? They're making sure every house, everybody has potable water within our community here. How about our church? See, that's why I keep saying we're a community of like-minded souls supporting each other. And it's up to us to bring that love in, not look at your neighbor and find their faults, but look for their good. Because anybody want to know my faults? So we're all there. But your choice is to see me as love, and my choice is to see you as love. And as I bring that energy in, the relationships that we're experiencing are enhanced. Now, I can bring in criticism. I can bring in upset. I can bring, did you say what, say that? And, see, and when we bring that in, what kind of relationship are we establishing with the world around us? It always fascinates me when people tell me I'm not loved, or I want to feel loved. Okay, an example is, okay, go transmit love and allow love to come back into your life. So it's a very, very interesting conversation to me. The world is in a turmoil because everybody is bringing in not love.
That's true.
Everybody?
Excuse me. You aren't, I know. She keeps me straight because there's no way that everybody does that, okay? I would say the majority. But the idea is that if we're going to change things, we have to take it to the spiritual level. And the spiritual level is not trying to figure things out, not trying to understand what I did wrong, not trying to understand anything other than affecting my communication with God and knowing that I am expressing God as God. And that I have created my world around me because I didn't know better. And I'm almost convinced that the ego is so clever. Because I find myself thinking things, I wonder, why am I thinking that? Where in the world, I'm thinking about somebody in my past life 20 years ago and angry because of what they said. Where did that come from? Who did that? Okay, and it's part of my inner self that needs healing. So, how does healing occur? Anybody agree it doesn't really occur on the physical level? See, I keep looking for ways to heal the physical. Okay, I've been looking for ways to heal my lungs, okay? I've been, how can anybody speak spiritual things and have a what is it called? Pneumothorax. Okay, or how can you have a heart attack? You're not good enough. And see, the ego does those things. And that's why all of us, need to be in relationship, supporting each other and loving each other. The next door neighbor that's a problem, maybe they're a problem because you're thinking differently about them. And I've really been thinking about this relationship. Work is relationship. Church is relationship. Neighborhood is relationship. Anybody agree? Traffic is relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, you get out there in traffic, it's relationship and what your attitude is.
Right.
And so everything we are involved in is relationship. What are our issues? The cultural issues, gender issues, racial issues. And it's all relationships. And it's all expressing love instead of hate or anger or misunderstanding. So that's why I'm looking at, we can talk about it, we can be it, we can do it, but we have to become it. And so it is relationship, knowing everybody I interact with. And my question is, what am I leaving behind in your life? By saying what I'm saying right now, what am I leaving with you? And where are we going with this? What is it? Frankly, I see a community of like-minded souls creating a new world. Now, however that new world looks, I have no idea. I know that building's part of it down there. But this whole process is what is possible. And is it too late? No.
No.
Absolutely not. Can it be overwhelming? Yes. Do I slip? Yes. Do I worry? Yes. And that's all part of over here. The new relationship is with God. And my relationship with God gets stronger and stronger as I open to it. Now, when I try to work on it and figure it out, then it goes backwards because I slip back into the physical world. And this is what I've been realizing. Got to use some scripture. It keeps getting simpler and simpler to me. It really does. And the words keep coming off the page. And I was looking, and what I said, and this is John, and John, the writings of John are very mystical. They're not like the first three Gospels. And it says here, a new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another as I have loved you. And by this all men shall know that you are my disciples, if you love one to another. So the whole crux of Christianity, if you will, is right there. Love one another. The only commandment, he says, is love one another. Have we been very good at that as a culture, as an organization, as the world population? Okay? And so what are we about? What are we doing? And see, the key to it is, I keep waiting for somebody else to do it. Good. You familiar with them? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can't do it. In our own individual world, are we taking the time every day, set some time aside, and see, the key is not to pray for others. The key to it is just be in the presence of Spirit. Because the ultimate relationship is the relationship between me and God, and whatever name I use for God. And the ultimate relationship is between you and God. And then what happens is that relationship, the energies from that relationship start affecting the other relationships in your life. It's amazing how once I start feeling good about Madeline, she gets better. Anybody understand what I just said?
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a curveball.
And it's fascinating to me. It doesn't have anything to do. And there's been no conversation. But it's my attitude about myself, my connection with the one Spirit, and that's where I need to do the work. I don't need to pray for the world. I don't need to pray and firm for the world. All I need to do is take care of self. And in taking care of self, I can be more able to take care of you and love you and appreciate you. Because you are my relationship. You are my connection with Spirit, ultimately. Because when it's all said and done, what do we leave behind? And what kind of memories am I leaving behind in your mind? And now my next question is, it's very interesting. The Bible does say that the sins of the father go on to the fifth and sixth generation. Now, again, you have to get into metaphors and metaphysical understanding and words. And in the ancient world, there was male and female were just different metaphors. The male was the warrior, the male was the hard, the male was the intrusive. Female was the nurturing, accepting, loving. So the sins of the fathers goes down to the fifth and sixth generation. What happened to the love of the mothers? See, it's honestly another metaphor. It's like a pebble you throw in a pond and the ripples go out. They continue out forever until they hit the bank of wherever they are. And when we bring that love in and express love, we are radiating it out to our neighbor, and then that neighbor might even pet their dog, who doesn't bite the next door neighbor, whatever it is. It radiates, and now we're back into the invisible energies that are being transmitted. And it's up to us to transmit that love, and through relationship, and through love, and expressing love in the environment. So, I've got that off my chest. And I need to do that for me. Because we live in a world that doesn't make sense. But it starts making sense when we look at it from a love standpoint. And the world's going to tell you that you're crazy. Okay? However, the only way to find out is try it. And live in it. And be there long enough for it to start working slowly in your life. And it's like anything else, it takes time. You plant a seed, and if you start messing with the seed too soon, it starts growing, but you kill it if you start messing with it too soon. You have to allow it to grow, you have to water it, you have to appreciate it, you have to cultivate it, you have to allow it to sun of spirit. And sooner or later, you've got that big, beautiful tree. So each one of you is that tree of life. And thank you for letting me share with you as we grow a huge orchard. Blessing, I'm finished. Thank you.